people come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. As you can see, it's called Small Talk because I'm short and it's a short interview, like not an hour long. Anyway, I'd like to introduce my guest, and I hope I remembered how to pronounce your last name. People's names can be tricky. DJ Pohl.
DJ Pohl.
DJ Pohl. There you go. All right, thanks for being here, by the way. I appreciate
for
that.
having me, Nancy.
So DJ has been on the show once before. Remind people what you do, what your job is.
So I'm a full-time paralegal with the BC Prosecution Service. So I work out of the Chilliwack Crown Counsel office.
So why did you choose that, by the way?
Well, I do have a Bachelor of Arts degree in criminal justice. And while I was completing that degree, I actually started working at the Crown office through a contact I made at the university. Started as the receptionist there, just looking for some local experience. Finished my degree and quickly became a legal assistant, and then the major trial legal assistant, and now I'm in a paralegal position. So been there 15 years.
Oh my goodness. You must have learned so much about the law being in those positions, right?
Well, specific to criminal law, as the prosecution service works on provincial jurisdiction criminal prosecutions. So my area of law or expertise is mainly focused on criminal law, but I'm completing some paralegal courses right now to be, officially certified as a paralegal. So that expands your knowledge base on other areas of law as well. So definitely interesting, a new challenge.
A new challenge, yeah. What do paralegals do?
So that's going to vary for depending on the area of law and the type of law firm, but it's administrative support for the most part, but with a legal aspect of it. In BC, actually paralegals are licensed to practice law, or we're moving in that direction.
Right.
So they're working underneath of a lawyer and sometimes doing duties of a lawyer, like in that with and so specific for the prosecution service, that is in the prosecution of criminal files in the justice system. So there's various roles to that, but ultimately administrative support, creating greater access to the legal system and justice in general.
Well, have you ever considered going to the bar?
I have actually. I wrote my LSAT shortly after graduating with my Bachelor of Arts degree, and I didn't get into law school the first time that I applied, and I was on a few wait lists. Actually, I was ready to move to Dalhousie until a few days before, when I fell off the wait list before school started. And I just took a minute to step back and try to decide if maybe there was a way to get that same or similar type of fulfillment in a career and the work that I care about, without necessarily putting myself in significant school loans and debt to go to law school. It's not off the table, but yes, I have considered it, to answer your question.
Now I know that your mind is interested in a lot of different things, right? Like that's the way your brain seems to work. And you ran in the last election, did you not?
I did, yes. I was the NDP candidate in the 2021 federal election.
And I said this to her off camera, but I'm going to say it on camera, that a number of people told me after the election that they should have voted for her. They were sorry they didn't. So would you run again?
I would run again. I think that in the community, in the Chilliwack Hope riding, having folks committed to building a profile and doing the work in the community in between elections in the best interest of what we're trying to grow towards for the community is an important part of that and piece of that. And as long as, you know, that desire and appetite for change and a different direction in our elected member of parliament exists, it's something I'm still interested in, absolutely. But if I'm doing that work to build a profile for an even better candidate than me, and that's what is in the best interest of our riding and our community, that's fine as well. I'm just going to continue to do what's right for me. It was a fantastic experience. I learned a lot, and I would definitely do it again.
Good. So can we explore that experience a little bit?
Sure.
I mean, you know, I can't imagine what it would be like, because there's a lot of canvassing, right? A lot of getting out there. And did you have, was there a meeting where the candidates, were there debates and all of that wonderful things?
Yeah, there were debates. Unfortunately, no in-person debates this time. We were, you know, dealing with a lot of COVID restrictions and whatnot. So the debates were mostly virtual and online platforms. And it's a lot of getting out there, you know, attending events, having conversations, just engaging the voter base, learning about the issues yourself, and talking about it, and, you know, doing some solution analysis of what the community sees as the best way to represent our interests collectively, how we even talk about that and approach problem solving. So it was a fantastic experience. I think it would be even more enjoyable if we're in a place where those face-to-face restrictions allowed for more, you know, person-to-person, face-to-face contact, as that is, you know, ideally that's the best way to have a conversation with anyone and to connect with people, right? But there was still lots of opportunity to do that. We were out on the doorsteps in the communities talking to people. We had a constant flow of folks through our campaign office with really great questions and fantastic conversation, and then virtual opportunities as well with local interest groups and clubs and hosted debates, and then the schools. And I have to say that the debates or just even conversations with students in classrooms was an absolute highlight for me of the campaign. They're connecting with young minds and inquisitive questions that were really thought out and often coming from a different perspective, you know, with some youth behind it. And just engaging individuals with a desire to learn and grow, and with no fear of asking really hard questions. It was a really enjoyable part of the campaign for me, and a highlight for sure.
Very good. Just sort of thinking about how people, I would say probably the older people reacted to you being, first of all, female, and second of all, fairly young. So did you get any adverse reactions because of that? No, I don't think so. I mean, there are certainly, if folks weren't sure or aware of my experience or what I brought to the table, you know, the best way to do that is to just demonstrate what you bring to the table and your experience, and encourage folks to learn about that. Putting your name forward as a candidate is never an easy decision, and it's never going to be an easy thing. You know, it was hard. You know, there were questions, but the questions in the narrative is changing in terms of the, you know, the trust we have in our elected representatives and who we want to see reflected in that, which is, you know, ultimately one of the reasons I wanted to put my name forward to run, is because I really wanted to help build and move towards creating that space for folks to see themselves reflected a bit more in this process, and in the elected representatives, and to create that safe space for people to feel like they could put their names forward. And I do think we have a long way to go for that, especially with women in politics in
in the Fraser Valley and everywhere, but there are great examples of strong leaders and women carving that path for folks who also don't identify as men as well, and other areas as well in terms of representation and diversity and inclusion, and we have a long ways to go, but I'm happy to put in that effort to try to create that space together.
Right. So how did your party do overall?
Overall, the federal NDP picked up some support, so in the green a bit, but locally for sure we picked up more support than overall. We increased our voter base by 10%, which is a significant accomplishment that is owed entirely to the collective team of people volunteering their time and their efforts and conversations, and the voters, the 14,000 voters who voted for me, but there were more voters as well, and all the voters who took the time to get themselves to the poll to make their voice heard in this important decision. So we had a lot of success on that front locally, but overall nationally a bit of an increase, which as we all know, the seat distribution really didn't change all that much across the country. So in a very similar position than as we were prior to that election. But locally, I think that we built a lot of excitement and momentum and encouragement. Like there's a lot of just hope and positivity around the future and future representation and what that could look like and how to get involved, which I think we can really build upon. There's definitely hope. It's not impossible. And it will take engaging voters and reducing barriers to vote to get there. But I'm excited about it.
And it's up, and not it's up to, I don't mean it that way, but it's the young people that we need to turn to, because I know that a lot of people my age, one of the things they say which drives me insane is like, well, what can we do? We're only one person. And I always think, well, we have the numbers. If you have the numbers, you can make the changes, right?
Well, if everyone had the mindset of I'm only one person, what can I do? And everyone acted on that. And if everyone decided as one person, they add their voice to a collective effort, you see very different results.
Absolutely.
But I think really spending some time to understand why people feel like their voice doesn't count and doesn't matter, and isn't heard. I think that's a really important piece to build upon and continue to work on in a community as a whole, because there's definitely specific demographics and communities who have in general lower voter turnouts as well, and we should be asking ourselves, why is that, and how do you build that trust for people to believe that their voice, like it's which comes first, right? People will believe that their voice and their vote matters and counts when they see action that reflects the interest that they're looking for. But it'll also take that to get there. So it's relationship building, it's reducing barriers around voting in general, and just community engagement, is at the core of it. So.
Very good. Yeah. Now I'm going to totally change the subject because we've done the politics. I want to know what you do for downtime.
Okay. Well, I mean, prior to COVID, I was playing roller derby with the NWO Roller Derby Association, which is a women's flat track roller derby league and sport. Takes place around the world. There's many leagues and many teams, and that was definitely, so I had skated for about 10 years at that point. And it was an appropriate outlet for my personality with social community aspects, but mostly the competitive athleticism and
Right.
combination of strategic defense and offense at the same time. The sport is fascinating. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage you to do so, and get involved, learn how to skate. Roller skates are wonderful and also a great form of exercise.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I haven't been back since COVID.
Right.
Things are starting to get going again, and I would like to see if skating still feels right for me in that sport. But other downtime items is spending time with my family, and just we like our movies, and we like to get outside, and we're in the beautiful Fraser Valley that we spend a lot of time just in our neighborhood or yard outside doing things. So reading books and watching movies, all your regular type of things. Board games, I'm a big board game fan as
Are
well.
you a chess player?
I'm not very good.
No,
Well,
that surprises me, actually.
Yes, chess is a very challenging game. I do play. I haven't played it. Unless you are super naturally gifted and can just pick it up immediately, it takes a lot of time and effort to get really good at it. And I am competitive, and I like to win, right? So, but chess is a great game, but my experience and knowledge is intermediate at best.
Okay, right. Well, I'm just thinking because you have that strategic type of thinking, so I thought maybe
that translates very well to the chessboard. Absolutely. But the physical aspect of an outlet for me and exercise is very important as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have any immediate plans for the future? Anything, whether it's your personal life or career-wise, your job?
All of the things continue for sure. It's I still feel like I'm catching up from the election. That's how I used the vast majority of my 2021 annual leave. So so maybe some holidays this year would be lovely and great. But there, the work doesn't stop. Continuing to grow my career as a paralegal is exciting to me, and having an impact on the criminal justice system and continuing to learn about it as well are things I hope to pursue. And the elected positions within the labor movement and the work that I'm doing there, that will all continue, and I feel excited about that. The administrative professionals component of the BC General Employees Union, BCGU, is doing some great work organizing amongst our memberships. We're actually in bargaining right now for the public sector, so that is busy and interesting. And then I've just been reappointed to the Climate Solutions Advisory Council to the Premier as well.
Congratulations.
So, and so how that labor and environmental kind of activism and interests collide is another passion of mine to pursue. So all those things will keep me very busy. I've joined the board for the Agri Fair this year, and so helping plan that. Yes, there are times where I do often think about the campaign, and I miss those 15, 16 longer hour days of the campaign, which maybe indicates to me that I'm a bit too busy in general, but also it had such a singular focus that it was quite enjoyable for that. So yes, definitely busy, and I'm just gonna, like I mentioned earlier, continue to do what I feel is right and has an impact, and where I can contribute the types of skills or experience I have to contribute to in the best interest of, whether it's the membership of BCGU or the community in general. I'm committed to doing that, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of that.
Right.
So
Well, you come across as a person who is very good at figuring out what is good for you. And like, a lot of people go through life wondering, should I do this? Should I do that? And they don't get anywhere because they're stuck there.
right. Well, my partner might disagree with that.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I mean, just because more because maybe the word no is not often in my vocabulary with regards to balance and making sure I don't have too much on my plate. But I'm very lucky to have such a supportive family in all of that. So, I mean, I have those same feelings of not necessarily knowing what the right path is as well. And, the fact that the last time I was in university was 13 years ago is not lost on like that I share that kind of, well, how do you navigate this and where do I go? And it's okay if time passes figuring that out.
Sure.
You're never too young or too old to do a path. You can change your mind. You can, there's all of these things, right?
Absolutely.
But I wouldn't say I'm like an expert in that in any means. I just really trust like my values and my instincts and try to look at like what value can I bring to the work that I'm doing to guide me in it. So
one final question, because I know you just finished work, so I really appreciate you coming here because she just got off work before she came here. When the election was finished, was there a letdown feeling?
No, actually,
okay.
no. Managing expectations is a very important part of going into a campaign, both for yourself and also if you're in, a campaign manager role. Managing the expectations of your candidate and everyone on the campaign is important. So I was aware of that, and to me, like it wasn't impossible, right, to have success. More likely, it would be a multi-term attempt in order to have that success. And I had expected and anticipated to feel sad or disappointed, but I think just the amount of energy and positive momentum and hard work that went into the campaign from absolutely everyone, I did not feel let down at all. Like it actually almost surprised me a little bit that I just felt so positive about the whole experience, the work that the campaign and the campaign team did, and what we accomplished, and what we can grow on and continue to move forward and just build capacity to do really great work in the community, whether it's an election or not. Felt so positive and so powerful that I was not disappointed.
Very
but
good.
I think that's a great question, because then leading into what's next and what's coming, we're heading into municipal elections this October, which is some interesting opportunities for, again, voices that are going to be really important in the planning of our municipal politics, and continuing to create space for that is exciting and important, and just that's going to benefit the community as a whole. So that's something else that's coming up and coming forward. But yes, I was not disappointed in the work that we did whatsoever. Just I'm excited to grow on it and continue our capacity building.
And if you run again, now you know what to expect, right?
Yes, it's definitely a learning curve.
I would think so.
Navigating some of the conversations, the media, the interviews, interacting with other candidates, and then but again, the highlights were just conversations with the voters on issues that were really important, even in a time where there was there still is a lot of tension and division in the community. the underlining issues are, are shared by everyone. And
Sure.
so coming up with solutions that are important to people
Yeah.
is so important for that. So those conversations continue, and the work doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I think I had the day after the election off, and then I was back at work.
Well, this has been great talking about great conversation. You're always a really good interview. I appreciate you coming. And I know you probably want to get home and get some supper or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm just reaching so I can stop recording in a minute. I want to stop recording. Anyway, so thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to the DJ. I know I always enjoy. I'm so pleased that you were able to come back and do another interview with me.
Anytime.
Oh, all right. I might take you up on that. I do tend to ask people if they keep coming back. And thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe because I like that too, So take care, everybody, and peace out. And
Thank you.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.